Welcome back to the talkSPORT MMA channel. Before we get started, make sure you're liking, commenting and subscribing to the new channel. It's booming. The numbers are growing. We appreciate the support, so continue to do so. Today I'm joined by a very, very special guest, a middleweight contender in Bellator. Fabian Edwards joins me now. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing well.
Yeah. Big fight coming up this Friday. Take on Aaron Jeffery at Bellator 302 in Belfast. Yeah. How are you feeling ahead of the big fight?
I feel good, like the same. I always feel calm. You know what I mean? I always remain calm. I'm excited inside, but I'm just trying to hold that until Friday,
Yeah, of course, man. It's a fight that can put you straight back into contention, especially if you have an impressive finish. What do you make of Aaron Jeffery as an opponent? Give us some insight into what he's like as a fighter for people who don't know what he fights like.
I think he's just a come forward fighter, mainly uses boxing, dirty boxing and clinching, so I've seen that type of style. I've seen that type of style, so I am looking forward to going in there and feeling it.
And he's a fighter that can pose problems if you're not in your A game.
Yeah.
In terms of yourself, how's the weight cut going? Obviously, we know that this time of the week ahead of the fight, it can be difficult for some fighters. How do you normally find the weight cut?
Weight cut's easy, The weight cut's easy for me, The only thing about the weight cut is just a bit annoying. I can't have no salt and stuff on my food, but apart from that, it's easy, but only a couple more days.
What foods are you missing the most?
Some yard food, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, man.
You know what I mean? So that's it, but I'll have that on the Saturday, so I can hold out till then.
And after you do hopefully get the win on the weekend, what kind of food do you eat straight away after the fight? Are you a kind of man that goes in straight away and eats as much as you can? What's the main dish you go to straight after a fight?
Nah, you know what? I drive back to Birmingham, I'll be straight to my mum's shop. You know what I mean? 'Cause obviously mum got a Jamaican shop, so yeah. I'll be back there, a little mixed meal. You know what I mean? A little jerk chicken, curry mutton. Yeah. So looking forward to that.
You know what? I was talking to somebody about it. I'm Ghanaian, but I eat a lot of yard food. And somebody was telling me that when you're having like jerk chicken, that's when you have it with rice and peas. But if you're having curry goat, you have it with white rice. Is that right?
Yeah. That's
okay.
Best yeah.
I've been doing it wrong this whole time. You fight in Belfast at Bellator 302. Have you ever fought? You fought a couple times in Dublin, but you never fought in Northern Ireland before. Are you excited to fight in front of those Northern Irish fans?
I am, like I said, I've fought in Dublin a few times, and the energy over there is crazy. So I'm looking forward to seeing if Belfast can match that energy. So can't wait for it.
And you're the kind of fighter that obviously you can take motivation from the crowd. Do you hear the crowd when you're in the cage? Do you use that as motivation when you're fighting your opponent?
When I'm in the cage, not really, because I'm trying to lock into my coaches, but on the walkout, that's where I feel the energy, and I take the energy from the walkout and I bring it to the cage.
Okay, and you're on a 3-fight win streak before your last fight against Johnny Eblen. Unfortunately, lost that one.
Yeah.
How do you expect to get back on track in terms of making sure that you do your job against Aaron Jeffery on the weekend?
But I just go in there and be myself. For these last 6 months, I haven't stopped training. I've been in the gym. I've been working and just trying to tighten up my game and just get better. I feel mentally and physically, I feel in a place that I've never been before. So I'm looking forward to going in there and just showing myself how much I've improved.
And the fight against Johnny Eblen, that was for the Bellator middleweight world championship.
Yeah.
How many fights do you think you are away from yet again fighting for the gold?
Well, they said this is the number 1 contender fight. You know what I mean? So after I go in there and I do my job and I do what I know I can do, I'll be looking forward to that rematch, whether it's summertime or later in that year. But I'll be waiting for that rematch.
And let's zoom out a little bit and look at the wider scape of MMA. Obviously, Bellator and PFL signed that new deal. Hopefully, that means more money for the fighters, new opportunities as well. Do you think it'll ever get to the stage where the Bellator and the PFL, now that they're combined, can ever rival an organization like the UFC?
I think so. I think so, because in terms of talent, obviously UFC is branded as that's the best talent, but that's not the case. You got guys like myself, guys like my teammate Tim Wild. You got a lot of fighters that would give a lot of people trouble if they were to find other organizations. So since the merger, I am looking forward to seeing how in the next couple of years how things shape up.
And in terms of another man who signed to Bellator slash PFL, Francis Ngannou. We saw him in the ring recently against Anthony Joshua. Unfortunately, lost in the second round of that fight. Are you excited to see him be part of this organization? A lot of people talking about his next fight potentially being in the cage. Are you excited to see Francis maybe in a Bellator slash PFL cage in the near future?
I am, because the heavyweight that he's meant to be coming back and fighting, he looks tasty. You know what I mean? So I can imagine that's going to be a good matchup. He needs to come out to MMA now. He's done boxing. I think he should come out to MMA and just finish up over here.
Would you ever consider doing a crossover fight or maybe entering a different discipline that's not MMA?
I would. I got these hands. You know what I mean? I got these hands, so I wouldn't mind doing the boxing, but it will have to make sense. Financial and all of that. It will have to make sense. But in the future, yeah.
And someone's a big fan of yours. I want to see you capture gold first of all in the cage before you move on to pastures new. Let's talk about British MMA because it's booming right now. Yeah. Not just in the UFC or Bellator, it's booming all over. And your camp, Team Renegade, has a huge part to play in that in terms of fighters that come out that gym. Not just yourself and your brother, but we see the amount of fighters in the landscape that come out that gym. What is it about British MMA that is making it thrive right now? Because like I say, there are so many top level fighters that are coming from these shores, and it's a good thing to see.
You know what? I don't know about British MMA. I feel like, with British MMA, it's a lot of the coaches now, they've been fighters. You know what I mean? So they've had that experience where I think back in the day when they started out, they was the fight back then was like coaching and training themselves, and they're trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's what's changed. And the fighters are believing in the coaches now, rather than going to America and going to all these different countries. By sticking with your team and focusing on what you need to focus on, you can grow. You know what I mean?
That's what I was going to ask, man. Because like you say, you see a lot of other fighters, and I'm not slating them for doing it. Some things work for certain people, but what you're seeing right now is that British MMA fighters are staying in their gyms and they're winning world titles in their home gyms. So what's the benefit of staying at your gym as opposed to going elsewhere, going to America, going to one of these big gyms globally? What's the benefit of staying in a gym like Team Renegade in terms of helping you to develop as a fighter?
I think for myself, and the benefit for other guys is your team knows you. You know what I mean? You go to these big American gyms, they get lost in it. You know what I mean? They get lost. I don't know if it's the lifestyle or the team's so big that you just become another number. You know what I mean? When you're sticking with your team, they focus solely on you and making sure that you get the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Do you know what? I was talking to my friend about it. And me and my brother played football against each other quite a lot. And obviously in your gym, Leon's a big part of that gym. Yeah. And you two, because you're similar in size, obviously he fights down the welterweight, you're a middleweight, but you spar against each other. What's that like in terms of sparring with your brother? Do you kind of like not see him as an opponent? What do you go through your mind when you're sparring against your brother?
You know what? Like, I just try to just make him better in it. Like, I just try to remove all this like brother stuff and just give him that work. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And it's the same like vice versa, because by the end of the day, my job is to make sure that he's going in there getting the work that he needs. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's just it. I just remove the brother thing and put hands on him. You know what I mean?
So you're both catching hands, yeah?
I can catch hands, man. You know what I mean?
I like it. Cause I can't really imagine it. And you see it, you're seeing it more often now in terms of siblings or relatives. They're in organizations and they're sparring together. And from my point of view, I just find it interesting to see how you kind of remove that and just view him as somebody you're trying to make better, and he's trying to make you better as well. Yeah,
that's it. You know, like I say, you have to be a professional in it. You know what I mean? And just take it all away. And just give him the work and the look that he needs. You know what I mean? Because for certain camps, I've been his main training partner or sparring partner or all of that. You know, because there's not much weight difference between us. So what more can you have? A brother that #1 contender and a brother that's champion training together.
Exactly. There's something in that bloodline, the Edwards bloodline, man, that's very, very strong. In terms of British MMA, I'm going to stick on it. I'm a big MMA fan, whether I'm watching PFL, Bellator or UFC. And what we go through in terms of having to stay up to watch fights is difficult. So I want to ask you, what fighters make you stay up and watch them at night time? What fighters are you staying up, no matter if it's 4 a.m., 5 a.m., you're staying up to watch? And it don't necessarily have to be in your organization. Yeah.
If I'm honest, no one. Only my brother. You know, if I'm not in my brother's corner, then my brother, and that's to be honest, you know, my brother the only one that's gonna have me up at 6 a.m. watching fights, because obviously I got like kids and stuff, so trying to stay up at 5 and then I got a kid waking up at 6, That's all long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd much rather just stay offline. That's what I do. Like whenever there's a big fight, I stay offline. I go on when I need to go on to watch it, and I just watch it, and the feeling feels the same, you know.
You mentioned your kids there. It's quite difficult. I've talked to a few fighters in the past in terms of balancing that work-life balance. And this is work for you as much as it's entertainment for us. This is you going to work. How do you manage that when you're in camp in terms of seeing the family and making sure that you've got your eyes on the prize in terms of the fight that's coming up?
Yeah, you know, like my family understands. You know what I mean? They understand that, and it sounds like kind of messed up to some people, but the family get put second. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I still see them, but the family gets put second because at the end of the day, it requires 8 or 9 weeks to just focus. And after that, I can have family time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's all it is.
Of course.
Like, family time does suffer a little bit, but it is what it is, and it's just a part of the sport that you kind of have to do, you know? Or I have to do, I should say.
And in terms of the landscape for Fabian Edwards for the next 12 months, what do you reckon the next year holds in store for yourself? Is that championship gold on the horizon for you?
Defo. You know, I see myself going out there, beating this guy, and then getting my rematch. You know, like when Johnny won his last fight, I was happy that he won it because it was like that's part of my story. You know what I mean? Like him holding onto his title and him winning, me going out there on Friday and doing what I know I'm going to do, and then having my rematch, I know what I can do against him. Like that's a good story for me, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm looking forward to. A rematch later on down the year.
The narrative's there, and I think that's what drives fights. I think the narrative between you and Johnny Eblen is there, and obviously we know how that last fight ended for your sake. We hope that ends a different way.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.